Ponik is what the locals call the unknown creature that dwells in the waters of Lake Pohenegamook on the Maine-Canadian border. Witnesses have sized this three-humped cryptid with a lengthy tail to be between 30 and 60 feet long. Its legs are said to be short. It has two distinct flippers, a saw-toothed crest that runs from the back of its head down to its tail, and a head like a horse, hence the nickname Ponik, or pony, as in water horse or water pony. Although the local native people told tales of the great beast in the lake, the first documented sighting occurred in the 1870s, and reported sightings have continued ever since, peaking in the 1950s and 1960s when road construction around the lake was at its highest. Explosives and heavy machinery were used during this period, and it can be logically ascertained that this activity caused a much noticeable disruption to the local wildlife. Lucky observers have noted seeing Ponik's humps a distance apart from each other in the water as it glided along before diving into the depths of the lake it calls home, leaving a streamlined V-shaped wake where it disappeared. Ponik became an official local star among the communities that surround Lake Pohenegamook in Quebec in 1974, and the tradition of its celebrity has been celebrated yearly at a summer festival held in its very own honor. On the Maine side, Lake Pohenegamook is sometimes called Mocking Lake. Even though the grand majority of the lake is actually in Canadian territory, it does edge into the Maine border town of Escort Station, and this tiny section shares the legacy of the quiet and harmless beast that has been sighted by upwards of 1,000 people since 1873. Here are just some of the more reputable witness accounts by those who have been lucky enough to see Ponik firsthand. Two early European settlers claimed to have seen Ponik around the year 1873. The first, Louis Berube, was a lumberjack in the area. He offered a very short description of his observation, explaining it was huge and possibly a fish. Shortly after Louis's sighting, a man by the name of Benoit Levasseur sighted Ponik and claimed it to be a monster more than 25 feet in length, and that he observed it surface, submerge, and surface again before it disappeared into the darkness of the lake. Gaston Péchot, the mayor of Escort Station, the American end of the lake, made his observation from the balcony of his home back in 1957. A 10-year-old boy came literally face to face with Ponik while he was swimming in the lake back in 1944. In 1957, a local priest by the name of Father Leopold Plant was fishing when he had his sighting. He reported, "The lake was as calm as a mirror. You could see a toothpick floating. All of a sudden, about 1,000 feet from the shore, I saw this big black thing floating. It was like two pieces with a depression in the middle. Then as I was pulling my line in, it went swoosh under the water, and it was gone." In 1976, Marcel and Danielle Dennis saw Ponik while boating on the lake. "We saw its back, no head. It was a silky smooth gray," they said. Louis and Lucy Fournier claim they saw an 85-foot-long version of Ponik in 1976. It was roughly 50 feet from the shore. They each described it as being black and having 3 humps on its back, and they definitely concluded it was not a fish. Here are a couple of things you should know about Pohenegamook Lake. Pohenegamook is a very dark lake, sort of like Loch Ness, the home of the world-famous Nessie, which Ponik is often compared. Loch Ness is dark due to peat moss, but Pohenegamook's darkness is attributed to high amounts of rust in the water deposited into the lake from the iron-rich mountains above. Pohenegamook is Native American, which means rest and wintering, sheltered from the northern winds, but it's mostly known to be nicknamed as the lake without a bottom. Native legend has it that this lake is shaped like a funnel, bottomless, and even though modern-day efforts have been made to record its true depth, 250 feet is as far as those efforts have gone, the average depth being right around the 135-foot mark. How does Ponik survive when the weather turns cold and the lake freezes over? Local believers say there's a cave somewhere underground, and it nests there until the ice clears up. Some say Ponik is a plesiosaur, a dinosaur which somehow survived extinction, and is another example of Nessie from Loch Ness in Scotland, or Champ from Lake Champlain in Vermont. Some say Ponik is nothing more than the misidentification of a few things. Moose swimming in the lake, hence the thought that Ponik's head looks like a horse head. Giant gas-filled tree trunks or logs which have floated to the surface and, after dispelling the built-up gases within their waterlogged bodies, they sink, returning to the bottom of the lake to decay. A really large sturgeon, as they're known to grow to lengths of 14 to 18 feet, and they can live to be 100 years old. Although Realistically speaking, a 9-foot sturgeon is considered to be a large sturgeon, and to have sturgeon that exceed normal growth expectations generation after generation in the same geographic location for centuries, it's a possibility as plausible as the theory that there is a currently unknown species inhabiting Pohenegamook Lake. Others say the sawtooth fin that starts at Ponik's head and stretches down to its tail is nothing more than wet hair ridged together, like what you might see on an otter as an example. Locals have noted there have been Ponik sightings at a lake not too far from Lake Pohenegamook, at Lake Temescouta. The possibility these sightings are indeed Ponik gives reason to believe it's traversing the distance between the two lakes via an underground tunnel or cavern system which is yet to be discovered. Reasons you might believe. While we do have a statement from world-renowned biologist and researcher from the 1950s, Vadim Vladikov, that Ponik could quite possibly be a sturgeon, the locals hold firm that they've fished Lake Pohenegamook their whole lives and have caught every sort of fish imaginable for that area, but never once have they caught a sturgeon, not even a small one. A local biologist, Guy Barreau, studied Lake Pohenegamook in the 1990s and is of the scientifically research-based opinion that there are no sturgeon in the lake, and there is no evidence that would support that there might be. Furthermore, he clarified that a 9-foot-long sturgeon would weigh nearly 500 pounds, so a sturgeon the size of what witnesses are reporting, 25, 30 feet, upwards of 60 feet long, would put that fish in the multi-ton category, and that's something that would leave a distinct impression on the lake in terms of physical evidence at the very least. In 1977, a team of Toronto divers used marine radar and low-frequency sound waves to search for Ponik and detected an unidentifiable form 25 feet long and 10 feet wide. While they don't know what it was that they found, they know it wasn't a sturgeon. Reasons why you might not believe. Despite numerous scientific attempts at proving the existence of Ponik, no evidence has been produced. While there are reported photos of Ponik, there are none that allow for certain identification that it is indeed of the size witnesses have claimed or to have the physical attributes witnesses have observed. Here are some of our theories about Ponik. Ponik could be a plesiosaur, the last of a species thought to have gone extinct millions of years ago. Our reason for figuring this as a possibility is directly attributed to witness account descriptions that Ponik's body is long, it has short legs, flippers, a lengthy tail, and a crest that runs from head to tail on its back. The physical attributes witnesses describe are too similar to other famous lake monsters around the world, including Nessie, Champ, Ogopogo, and Winnie, leading us to believe that Ponik could very well be a cryptid and not simply a sole survivor from the end of the age of dinosaurs. Pohenegamook Lake is 6 miles long and roughly 2 miles wide, large enough to support a food source for an animal the size of Ponik. And Lake Temescouta, where Ponik has also been sighted, is 28 miles long and 3 miles wide, making both lakes prime real estate for a creature that has done a fine job of remaining as elusive as it has for as long as it has.